Hello, I'm Michael Topham and welcome to this third Layer Styles Masterclass technique. In the other two videos, previous to this one, we've seen how we can improve the presentation of our images using layer styles. And we've also used the very useful gradient overlay style to add an impressive graduated ND filter effect to a landscape shot. In this final video, we're going to use layer styles in combination with a text layer to see how we can make text stand out very clearly at the bottom of one of our images. We'll be utilising a number of layer styles in this video, and we'll use some of the ones that we've already used in the other two videos, including the drop shadow and gradient overlay. To make our text even more pronounced, we'll also be saving a grass texture into the pattern picker, ready to overlay over the text towards the end of the video. So with the final text effect on my screen, I'm just going to close down this final image and then load up the start pick that we're going to be working on. You'll find the file grass.jpg in the Start Images folder, so load this up into your version of Photoshop. We're looking to make a selection of this fantastic grass texture and save it as a pattern so we're ready to use it later with the pattern overlay layer style. Move into the toolbox and pick out the rectangular marquee tool, and then use it just to draw across the image and make a selection of the texture. Now, go up to Edit in the menu bar and scroll all the way down and click on Define Pattern. We want to give the pattern a new name, so we can locate it easily a bit later. Give the pattern the name Grass, and then hit OK, and then to deselect those marching ants, hit Ctrl and D. Having defined the pattern, we can close down this file, and then we need to load up the other file in the Start Images folder, which is cricket.jpg. Now you may have noticed that I haven't got my layers palette open on my screen at the moment, so I'm just going to load up my layers by going up to Window in the menu bar, and then going down and clicking on Layers. Moving across to the toolbox, you need to make sure your foreground colour is set to black, and you can do so very easily by hitting the letter D, which returns your foreground and background colours to default, and then move up through the toolbox and select the horizontal type tool. Go up into the options bar and set your font to Times New Roman and set the font size to 210. Move your cursor into the image and click centrally beneath the batsman, and then we need to type out the word cricket. If your text isn't perfectly aligned, you can just go into the toolbox and select the Move tool, and then just move your text down very slightly. You can just tap it into place if you need to, using the cursor keys. We've already seen that we can load up the Layer Styles dialog by going up to Layer in the menu bar and by clicking on the small FX icon at the bottom of the Layers palette. And in this video, I'm just going to show you another way of loading up the Layer Styles, which involves just double clicking on your text layer. Make sure that you're selected on the blending options over at the top left, and then you want to take hold of the Fill Opacity slider and drag this all the way to the left and set it to 0%. Once you've done that, you can move down the styles, and we're now going to select the drop shadow style. Moving across, keep the blend mode set to multiply and leave the opacity set at 75%. Moving further down, you need to set an angle of around 41 degrees and increase the distance up to around 49. Leave the spread set to 0%, but you can increase the size up to around 73 pixels. Now that we've added the drop shadow layer style, you can move down through the styles, and the next style that we're going to apply is the outer glow style, and we're just going to leave that with the default settings. Moving further down through the styles, we now need to tick the bevel and emboss layer style, and move across and make sure the style is set to inner bevel, and you just need to increase the size very slightly from 5 pixels up to 10 pixels. Now before we add the gradient and pattern overlay styles, we need to switch our foreground and background colours around. So hit OK to apply the styles that we've applied so far, and hit the letter X to switch our foreground and background colours around, and you should now be able to see in the toolbox that your foreground colour is set to white. To load up the Layer Styles dialog again, we can go into the Layers palette and double click on the Cricket text layer. Move down through the layer styles and select Gradient Overlay, and reduce the opacity from 100% down to 85%. Moving slightly further down, click on the gradient to load up the gradient editor, and then click on foreground to transparent, and then go across and hit OK. You can keep the style set to linear, but we want to change the angle and change this to around 157 degrees. Move slightly further down, and you want to change the scale value as well, and just change this to 113%. Lastly, we're going to apply the grass pattern that we saved earlier in this technique to our text. This involves using the pattern overlay style, so select it from the list of layer styles, and move across to the right, and click on the pattern drop-down arrow to show the list of pattern presets. If you hover your cursor over the patterns, it will show you the name of each pattern, and we're looking for the grass pattern. The grass pattern should appear as the very last pattern in the list, and once you've found it, double click on it. Having a look at the text at the moment, I think the scale of this pattern is a little bit large, so I'm going to take control of the scale slider and drag this over to the left and settle for a 30% value. Now that we've added 5 layer styles to our text, we can apply them to our text layer by going up and hitting OK. If there's a time in the future when you're not entirely happy with a layer style that you've applied, you can always delete a layer style very easily by moving into the layers palette and then hovering your cursor over a layer style name and just dragging it to the trash. That will delete the layer style from the list. So there we are. We've taken a good look through Photoshop's list of layer styles in these 3 masterclass techniques. They're really easy to use and let us add some interesting effects to our editable layers, so be sure to give them a try with some of your own layers and get creative with them. Remember, there are no rules as to how many layer styles you can use, so give a few different combinations a try in your own time. I hope you've enjoyed these 3 layer style masterclass videos this month, and I look forward to bringing you more videos online and in next month's magazine. Bye for now.